Welcome, everyone, to the July 23rd, 2025 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. I'm Candace Breyer, Chairperson of the Zoning Board of Appeals. The Zoning Board of Appeals is a 9-person volunteer board nominated by the mayor and approved by City Council. First, we will hear from Planning Services, represented tonight by Charlie Collins. Then the applicant or their representative will make their presentation. Applicants will have 5 minutes in which to make their presentation. Staff will keep time and will announce when 30 seconds are remaining. Public comment is available in person or remotely. We will first call on individuals present to address the board, then remote participants. To speak during a public hearing or during public comment remotely, press *9 if listening by phone, or use the raise hand feature if viewing through the web link. For phone access, call 877-853-5247 and enter meeting ID 938-1648-1007. City staff will select callers that have raised their hand using the last 3 digits of your phone number or by name if available for those accessing through the web link. You will hear an automated announcement that the host is allowing you to speak. When speaking, please move to a quiet area and mute any television or background sounds. We may ask questions of either the city or the applicant. We will acknowledge any written comments received by the board. We will allow an appearing party to express their support or objections. The board will then discuss the appeal and formulate a motion to approve the appeal. 5 affirmative votes of the board will be required for an appeal to be granted. Finally, any qualified party who is aggrieved by a decision of the board can appeal that decision to the Washtenaw County Circuit Court on a timely basis. Roll call. Candace Breyer, I am here. Todd Grant.
I am here.
Dave DeVarty.
Here.
Patty Leskowski. Julie Weatherby.
Here.
Drew Denson.
Here.
Mike Daniel. Dharma Ackman.
Here.
Christina Glusak.
Here.
We have a quorum. Moving on to approval of the agenda, I will note briefly that the second item on our agenda tonight, petition ZBA 25-0013, 2525 Ann Arbor Saline Road, I will be recusing myself from that petition. So Todd will be taking over as chair for discussion of that item. Are there any other comments or questions on the agenda? If not, do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Motion from Julie, support? Thank you, Dharma. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to approval of minutes. We have minutes from the June 25th, 2025 ZBA meeting. Any comments, questions, corrections to those minutes? If not, do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Motion from Drew, support from Julie. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, moving on. First, we have our first public hearing, petition ZBA 25-0019, 504 Concord Pines. Charlie?
So I'll read the staff report for ZBA 25-0019, 504 Concord Pines Drive. Philip Miller, property owner, is requesting a 6-foot variance from table 5.17-1, single-family residential districts. The owners are proposing to construct a new 175-square-foot screen porch in the rear yard. The property is zoned R1B and requires a minimum 40-foot rear yard setback. The subject property is located on the north side of Concord Pines Drive and east of Earhart Road, just north of Concordia University. The house was built in 2024 and is 3,249 square feet in size. The home is on a conforming lot for the R1B district and is 10,010 square feet in size, according to the survey submitted by the applicant. The subject property is seeking a variance to build a new 175 square foot screen porch in the rear yard. The proposed sunroom will include space for a table and seating. The new addition will be constructed in the rear yard 34 feet from the lot line. The proposed construction requires a variance from the ZBA. Now, if you direct your attention to the screen, please. Here is a zoning map. The subject parcel is highlighted in blue in the center of this map. Here's an aerial photo, zoomed in aerial photo of 504 Concord Pines Drive. Here's an applicant submitted survey with the subject proposed screen porch highlighted, dashed on the north side of the house. Here is a site plan, a floor plan for the proposed porch. It's approximately 12 and a half feet by 14 feet. And here's an elevation. Here are on-site staff-provided photos of the existing conditions of the property. And that is all from staff.
Thank you, Charlie. Any questions for staff? Todd?
Yes. Mr. Collins, my understanding of the Uniform Development Code is that if Mr. Miller were simply asking for an unscreened porch or deck, that no variance would be necessary. But because it's screened, it's deemed to be enclosed, so therefore it counts into the setback. And I'm referencing, I think it's section 5.17. Is
Yeah.
that true? So if it's not screened in, he doesn't need a variance?
Because it has walls and a roof, therefore it's considered an addition to it's part of the principal structure. So yes, you're correct. If it were a deck without walls or roof, this would not need a variance.
My second and last question is, can you verify and confirm the statement made in one of the letters that there was extensive negotiation between Earhart Village and I think the Toll Brothers built Concord Pines on keeping a visual and distance and auditory barrier between the two subdivisions? Can you confirm that?
Although I'm not privy to the negotiations between the developer and the townhomes, I am aware of, if you direct your attention to the screen, there is an open space behind. So there's the rear yard here. It's a 40-yard or 40-foot setback from the rear of the house to the back of the yard. And in between the end of the rear yard, there's an open common space that separates the distance between the rear edge of 504 Concord Pines yard to the townhomes to the north.
I can elaborate on this because I bicycled by the subdivision yesterday and went by the property and on my bike ride through the city, and I didn't know whether now is the time to mention it or should we do it when it's in discussion? What would be proper?
We could, I guess if you have questions that might come
Well,
out of it, we
I
could do
have-
it now, but otherwise we
I
could,
brought a photo of my iPad which shows a row of pine trees next to Earhart Village uphill, and as you go downhill, it looks like somebody, maybe the Concord Pines developer, planted 3 rows of trees. And then there's a gentle sloping berm, and then a large flat lawn. So these trees were not planted by each individual homeowner because they go in a line. So to me, that confirmed what one of the letters suggested, was that there was extensive discussion. The Earhart Manor people were unhappy, and they wanted a big visual and space barrier. That's what it suggests to me. Anybody wants to look at this photo, I'm happy to do that. It's right here in my iPad.
I also have a similar staff-provided photo on the screen displaying what Todd was describing there.
Mine goes down the length, yours is uphill. Right.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Charlie?
and, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, so on the final grade as-built, the survey, it's handwritten proposed deck, but that's not accurate.
No, the deck was what was originally applied for incorrectly. So, no, this is a screen porch that is being applied for, not a deck. This is a structure with walls and a roof.
And the deck, though, if it were to be in that same, it would be allowed by code without a variance, the footprint of a deck with no roof walls.
That's right, because it'd be
Yeah.
considered an accessory structure, and
Yeah.
because this has walls and a roof, it's considered an addition to the principal structure.
And how far out could a deck go? Is it based
I
on?
mean, a deck it
distance
could be
or square
detached
footage?
too. It could go up to 3 feet to the rear property line.
But still be connected to the principal structure?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Charlie? All right, if the petitioner is here, please come forward, sign in, state your name for the record. You'll have 5 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Philip Miller. My family and I live at 504 Concord Pines Drive. It's just off of Earhart Road in the northeast part of the city. Thank you all for this opportunity to present a request for a variance to the rear setback requirement. So, as you know, we'd like to build a screen porch off of the back of our house on the north side of the house at the northwest corner of the house. And as you've heard, the proposed screen porch would be about 12 and a half feet wide and 14 feet deep. So more or less a square that's 175 square feet. We are requesting a 6-foot variance from the 40-foot rear setback requirement. So from the back of our house to the rear property line is 48 feet. In addition, then could be 8 feet deep before hitting that setback requirement. We'd like our porch to be 14 feet deep, and that's really to be able to accommodate a table and some chairs so that we can sit and have a meal out on the screen porch. We sort of put down some markers on the ground had we only gone out 8 feet, so sort of 8 by 12 foot space. It's just kind of not functionally big enough to be able to sit out and have dinner in the evening on a screen porch. As you can see on the aerial map that was part of the packet, as you've heard, beyond our rear property line, there is a 75-foot deep common area, which is owned in common by the homeowners in our development. So that's sort of a buffer between the rear property line of our house and then the property owners to our north in Earhart Village. You can't really see from the aerial map, but you did see from one of the staff photographs that this 75-foot common area is really a hill that goes up to about 12 feet in elevation above the low point at the end of our property. Behind our house, there are about 20 trees that are planted on that hill. You can see in the aerial photograph the conifers pretty well. They show up as dark green circles. They're deciduous trees as well. We've got some white oaks and some elms that are a little bit harder to see on the aerial, but you saw in the photograph. And as those continue to grow and leaf out, that will sort of fill in that area behind our property before getting to the Earhart Village property to the north. I think that granting the variance would result in little disruption to our rear neighbor because of that common area and the buffer that is part of the terrain. And so granting the variance would ensure that our neighbors can still enjoy their property, which is the purpose of having the 40-foot setback in the first instance. I think that granting this variance would be consistent with the purpose of the development code. It allows an enhanced use of our property, really just to be able to enjoy the outdoors without causing disruption to any of our neighbors. So we're requesting this variance to have just a modest adjustment of 6 feet to allow us to enjoy that outdoor space. Thank you all very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions for the petitioner, Todd?
I always have questions, I'm sorry. Mr. Miller, several of your neighbors have constructed unenclosed decks. That's correct, right?
That's correct.
But for some reason, you rejected that. Can you tell me why?
We'd like to not be bothered by mosquitoes.
I thought you were going to say that. My wife and I have an LL Bean screen house. And LL Bean's a great company, and you can set it up in the summer, and unfortunately, my wife likes a branch on our oak tree that blocks us using it now, so we have to retreat into the house when the biting midges show up. But if you were to use this, you could stay outside, you wouldn't need a variance, and when the biting midges got frozen to death, you could then take the whole thing off and enjoy a wonderful view without any structure. Have you given thought to that, or do you really, for some reason, want an enclosed deck?
Absolutely appreciate that suggestion. It is
Yeah.
something that we've certainly thought about.
Okay.
We'd really like to have an enclosed screen porch. The home that we lived in before moving here had a screen porch, and frankly, it was one of the best features of that house. It just
Good.
creates a space that you can walk right out of the kitchen into with a snack or a book to read in the afternoon. So that's
Okay.
really what we'd like to do.
Good, okay.
Dave?
I note that a lot of these structures look pretty much the same in this development. Is there a homeowners association?
Yes.
And do plans like this have to go before the homeowner association for approval?
Yes. Yes, they
And
do.
everything from building color to additions, and I don't know if you even have regulations on what trees you can plant. But
There's an
I know some homeowners associations are pretty restrictive about those sorts of things.
That's right. There's an architectural review committee that needs to approve any additions to the
And has
homes.
this gone before the
Yes.
homeowners? Okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the petitioner?
Well, I was going to ask maybe a silly follow-up question. I assume the Architectural Commission said it was okay.
That's right. Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this point, we will open the public hearing. If anyone here would like to speak on this petition, please come forward, sign in, state your name for the record. You will have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Rita Ross. I'm the president of Earhart Village Homes Association, and I'm here tonight representing the 174 co-owners in Earhart Village Homes. You have my letter in your packet, but I just wanted to come and be available to answer any questions and just to emphasize that Mr. Miller's property is not exceptional. He has no difficulties with his property. His property is the same as the other 56 lots in this particular Concord Pine subdivision. And one of our concerns is that when you start setting variances, you create precedents. And basically adding a screen porch is extending the home. And so if all of the other 56 owners, or the owners that border Earhart Village, do that, then basically they're extending their home beyond the allowable setback. Toll Brothers in Earhart Village did agree to the common area, that common area would create a buffer between the two properties. We have a similar agreement with Glacier Hills. That's actually a formalized conservation agreement. But the agreement was that it would be in addition to, that it would create a buffer, that it would not replace the boundary, and that it would not change any of the requirements of the zoned lots. I have empathy with Mr. Miller. I've once lived in a home that has a screened-in porch as well. Earhart Village does not allow that in our architectural design, so I empathize with him, but I also think that he and the committee should empathize with the Earhart Village co-owners, who also have rights to their property. They have rights to privacy. They have their own rights to sit outside and dine and enjoy the nice weather, but they do it within the setbacks that were established by the city. Granting the variance would result in really hardship and somewhat of a substantial injustice to Earhart Village co-owners. It compromises, as I said, their privacy. A structure is going to bring with it additional lighting. It's going to bring increased noise closer to their boundary lines. It undermines the goals of the Unified Development Code, which established clear guidelines, which were known when the home was bought just a year ago. And I believe it would be disruptive to our community's peace and order. I would certainly petition you and say that, in our opinion at Earhart Village, it's very important for the Zoning Appeals Board to deny the homeowner variance. This decision to deny would uphold the integrity of the Unified Development Code and protect the rights and privacy of the 174 co-owners of Earhart Village, especially those whose buildings are right on the property line. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here that wishes to speak on this petition? All right, is there anyone online that wishes to speak on this petition? If so, please press star 9 or use the raise hand function.
We don't have any attendees online.
Thank you, Mariana. With that, the public hearing is closed. I will note that we did receive several letters regarding this petition, so I will note those quickly for the record. We have a letter of opposition from Uni Aaron at 676 Green Hills Drive. A letter of opposition from Anda Batasino. Okay. I apologize in advance for butchering all of these names. From the property owner at 672 Green Hills Drive. A letter of opposition from Christopher Cook at 851 Green Hills Drive. A letter from Robert and Sherry Hatcher at 505 Concord Pines Drive that note no objection to the proposed variance request. We have a letter from Lindsay Higgins, the operation manager for the Earhart Village Homes Association, which includes comments in opposition from the residents at 640 through 662 Green Hills Drive, 670 through 672 Green Hills Drive, 640 through, oh yes, also 640 through 662. So yes, there's several, appears to be several units represented here, all in opposition. A letter of opposition from Catherine Johnson at 915 Green Hills Drive, a letter of opposition from Kasia Yanchek, a letter of opposition from Stephanie Moran at 873 Green Hills, a letter of opposition from Sarah Price, a letter of opposition from Lisa Reach, a letter of opposition from Mark Reichard, a letter of opposition from Joyce Robertson at 652 Green Hills Drive, a letter of opposition from Rita Ross, as noted, from 835 Green Hills Drive, a letter of opposition from Nana Sifa, and a letter of opposition from A.J. Wilhelm at 710 Green Hills Drive. And with that, we are in discussion. Todd.
So I thought about this over lunch today and a little bit over dinner. I think there are some things in favor of Mr. Miller's proposal. He was very articulate why he wanted it. He had rational reasons. Second, for those of you that follow the Zoning Board of Appeals, we like porches, and we like decks, we like people using the front of their house or the back of the house and expanding the use of their property. And 6 feet is only 15% of the 40-foot setback. And normally those would be a reason to tip it in favor. But I'm going to vote against this for the following reasons. This is really a wonderful upper middle class subdivision. The homes are beautiful, they're stunning. But I have sort of a theme, which is that if there's a way of getting what you want, or 95% of what you want, without needing a variance, you can do it. And it's clear from photos that I took yesterday and Mr. Miller's statement today that his other neighbors have built open decks he can do that, and you don't need a variance for that. And there's a way of him enjoying the outdoors without needing a variance. And a variance bluntly is permission to do something that is otherwise illegal, that violates the city's ordinance. So it's an exception. Nobody has a right to a variance. But looking at the criteria, the first one, is this property exceptional? His property is just like all the ones that are in the row just south of Earhart Manor. So his property is not exceptional at all. Number two, the practical difficulty, there really isn't any. The home is wonderful. I'm sure it has all of the modern amenities, and the absence of deck is simply something that would make an enclosed porch is something that would make the summer a little nice, but you essentially get the same thing with the deck. So regarding public benefits, this is an interesting one for me. And I don't know if us here at the ZBA are the right place for it, but I think there's a public benefit in upholding a negotiated solution between an existing subdivision and a developer, and that we should not be undercutting that we should uphold the understanding between Toll Brothers and Earhart Manor and keep, albeit a large area with trees, but undisturbed. That was what Earhart Manor understood. That may have been mentioned to some of the people buying into Concord Pines, but that's clearly the understanding, and I don't think it's our role to disturb that. And number 4 and 5 are pretty easy. Number 5 is sort of risible, that somehow, without getting this variance, that the property couldn't be reasonably enjoyed or used. And of course, that's just silly. It's an amazing home. It's beautiful. And the property can be used without a variance. So normally, in a regular situation, I would be inclined to vote for it. But because of these special things, I think I have to vote against it, even though Mr. Miller presented a great case.
Dave?
I have to agree with Todd. As I look through our variance determination worksheet, I don't see that this request meets a single one of our criteria for approving a variance. And I have a patio in my rear yard that we use all the time. I know that rear yards can be used without screening in areas. I agree with the speaker of the homeowner association to the north, that setting a variance here kind of puts in place the rationale for giving variances to all the homes in this subdivision, and I can't do that, especially since the yard is usable either with a patio or a deck to have outdoor space. So I too will be voting against this.
Any other discussion? Yeah, Christina?
Yeah. So in general, I'm not in favor of this application, and it's just interesting to count how many. So there's 8 homes on this north edge. If you can pan out, Charlie, to that one view, sort of. So I think I counted 8 on the Concord Pine side, up against about 18 on the Earhart Village side. So I feel like if we allow this variance for the first house, that it sets a very negative precedent for not only that bank of homes in that row, but I'm just making an assumption that there's a similar type of conservation easement on the south side. I'm just making that leap there, but I just see the distances. If this is approved today, it's going to start to erode all the agreements in place, and it's not like this agreement is decades, that they've had many years to test it out, right? It's very fresh. It's only in the last couple of years. It's a new development. It's a new complete setting, as some of the letters alluded to. It used to be a very dense forest. So I think the conservation easement should be respected, really on both sides. So I assume that on the Earhart Village side, they're not going to try and keep pushing, not that they are, but push towards the south and vice versa. So, and I do feel to the design side of it that there's options. I feel like the 14-foot depth is arbitrary. Yes, a table is needed you want to be able to walk around the table, but I'm not sold on the 14 feet, and it sounds like 8 feet is allowed. That's my understanding. And then one other point, too, if maybe, Charlie, you could go to a photo that shows the elevational change from the ground. Sort of. Is there one that shows the south elevation of Earhart Village?
Yeah.
So from unit to unit, from the Toll Brothers development, like that whole suite
Yeah, right there.
there, because there's quite an elevation change. So the further this addition gets pushed towards the north, it is probably going to feel larger than a normal porch footprint would be, just due to the elevational change. It is a lot higher on the Toll side than on the Earhart Village side. So I think that would have an impact that I haven't really heard talked about, but that could enforce that addition on the north side of the house. So it sounds like in a deck, back to options, there's a deck. You can do a deck that meets the code without a variance, and that would encourage, I think, other homes next door to take that on as a positive precedent for the neighborhood. Thank you.
Any other comments? I will say briefly that I am in general agreement with the comments that have been made by my fellow ZBA members thus far. The struggle for me is that this lot is, as has been said, is not exceptional in any way. It's newly constructed. It's very rectangular with very basic setback parameters. There's not anything about it that makes it unique or special as far as the UDC is concerned. So for that reason, it's kind of easy for me to say no on this one.
I'm prepared to make a motion.
All right, if there's no other discussion, then I think we're ready for a motion. Thank you, Dave.
ZBA 25-0019, 504 Concord Pines Drive. In accordance with the established standards for approval, the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby grants a variance from Table 5.17-1, single-family residential districts, to allow for a 175-square-foot screened porch to encroach 6 feet into the rear yard setback.
Thank you, Dave. We have a motion. Do we have support?
Drew.
Thank you, Dharma.
Dharma.
Julie?
No.
Dave?
DeVarty, no.
Christina?
No.
Drew?
No.
I vote no. Todd?
No.
Dharma?
No.
The request is denied. All right, moving on to petition ZBA 25-0013, 2525 Ann Arbor Saline Road. I'm going to step out and turn things over to Todd. All right.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
I'm calling ZBA 25-0013, 2525 Ann Arbor Saline Road. And the city presentation will be by City Planner Ms. Malene Corcoran.
Thank you. All right, this is ZBA 25-0013, 2525 Ann Arbor Saline Road. Rob Wagner, representing the property owner, is requesting a variance of 18 feet from Table 5.17-3 multiple family residential districts. The variance will allow construction of a building with 262 residential units to encroach into the required side setback of 51.2 feet. The property is currently zoned office and is proposed to be rezoned R4E multiple family dwelling district. The property is located at the southeast of Ann Arbor Saline Road, southwest of Oak Brook Drive, and north of Eisenhower Parkway, adjacent to the Cranbrook Village Shopping Center, and the 4.16 acre site is vacant. The applicants are proposing to rezone 2525 Ann Arbor Saline Road from Office District to R4E Multiple Family Dwelling District and construct a multifamily residential building with 262 units. The building will be 58.5 feet tall and 332 feet wide with 379,459 square feet of floor area. The subject property is triangular with two front lot lines, one along Ann Arbor Saline Road and the other along Oak Brook Drive, and then a side lot line. So per footnote B of Table 5.17-3, the building is subject to an additional side setback of 41.2 feet for a total of 51.2 feet with that 10-foot minimum side setback because of the proposed height and width. And I'll just go through. This is the zoning map, so you can see that kind of triangular-ish shaped lot that's outlined in blue and currently zoned office. Next one, there's the aerial, so you can see it's vacant and has been always. Zoomed in, not a whole lot there on the site currently. Here is the survey that was submitted by the applicant as part of their plan. And then that is what the proposed building would look like. So it is kind of crescent shaped. You can see it there. It's a little bit difficult on the screen. There's some surface lot parking, and then it is adjacent the parking lot to the right side, upper right-hand corner of the screen. This is a little bit flipped from the north view of a map, but next one, please. And then here it's a little bit easier to understand from the rendering. So that's what the proposed building would look like, filling in that lot. Next one. Just a couple more renderings. This is what plan that the applicant submitted with some dimensions that they'll talk about during their presentation. And then here's just some photos that staff took of the lot. Again, not a whole lot going on there currently. You can see the Cranbrook Village Shopping Center right there, and at that parking lot, that's looking towards Ann Arbor Saline Road. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Any questions for Ms. Malene Corcoran? Dharma.
Looks like, and I think I read in the staff report, that there's a required stormwater retention pond there. Can you talk a little bit about that and show it?
Yeah, you can go back to the plan, Charlie. You can see it kind of outlined on this plan on the left bottom hand corner of the screen, and that's the area.
So the corner of Oak Brook and
At that corner of Oak Brook and Ann Arbor Saline, yeah.
all right, thanks.
Any other questions?
Question, what's the process for the rezoning?
So this is their first step. The application is currently scheduled for Planning Commission in August. Then after that, with whichever recommendation they get at Planning Commission, they'll go to Council. They'll have 2 readings for the rezoning. And then after the second reading, there'll be a vote to see if that is approved or denied. And the site plan is it's tied to the rezoning. So.
Okay, thank you.
Dave.
So it just seems odd to come for a variance before the zoning, but, and I understand they're coming for a zone, or will be approaching the planning commission and city council for a zoning change. Couldn't they accomplish the same thing by getting a PUD zoning change and have the site plan itself as the zoning?
I mean, theoretically, yes. PUDs are very complicated. We don't generally recommend them unless there's, extenuating circumstances. It's a longer process. But, I mean, theoretically, they could ask for a planned unit development.
Thank you.
I do have a question. Is the egress from the Cranbrook Village onto northbound Ann Arbor Saline, is that going to be preserved? Will people still be able to drive north from Whole Foods and then pick up Ann Arbor Saline?
The curb cut will still be there in that same location. There are going to be some changes to it to make it a little bit safer for pedestrians because there will be more pedestrians if this is built. So that includes bringing the crosswalk through because there is that kind of, and apologies, I don't know all of the traffic language, but the transportation engineers have looked at this and have suggestions that were included in revisions for the site plan to make that curb cut safer for pedestrians, but the location will remain the same.
Good. Any more questions? All right, we're ready for the applicant.
Thank you,
Sir,
Mr.
good.
Chair.
You need to, write your name, of course, and as you know, you have 5 minutes.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Rob Wagner with Midwestern Consulting. I'm the civil engineering consultant. With me tonight are two of the owners with Cranbrook Village Limited Partnership, Andy Jacob and Adam Jacob. Also with me, or with us tonight, is Brad Moore, local architect. Thank you, Mariana, for displaying this graphic. We thought would be a good talking point as we go through our presentation. So we do have we're proposing a 262 unit housing development to help fill the need for housing here in the city of Ann Arbor. The issue that we have, and we believe this, what we're going to be able to show you is exceptional and unique. So that's the kind of the basis of this. The Unified Development Code sets the side setback based on a rectangular building. If you're looking at that diagram in front of you, you can see that's like the definition, a rectangle, kind of like on a rectangular lot. Well, here we have an irregular shaped lot, and we have a building in the shape of a C, not really a rectangle, but the side setback is a calculation, and a portion of that side setback requirement is based on this kind of weird definition of the length of the building. Yeah, so anyways, in this case, the length you can kind of see is longer than the building, as the Unified Development Code defines it, 332 feet. We believe that definition that leads to that is a bad definition, and we believe that you will too. The actual length of the building along that side setback is 192 feet, and if the Unified Development Code interpreted that as the length of the building, we would not be here tonight. So with the calculations, the side setback, as you see there, right on the top, the required setback is 51.2 feet, and that's excessive, we believe. This presents a hardship to the site because, our site's an irregular shaped lot. It has 2 front yards, and actually, it's kind of a triangular shaped lot is the geometry, which we consider to be unique. As you can see, the building area on the site is limited. You did ask about the stormwater basin, and what I would like to say is that also restricts the use on the site. That stormwater basin that you see there at Oak Brook and Ann Arbor Saline, there's an easement, and that provides stormwater, best practices not only to our site, but actually the city street, Oak Brook Drive, and the condominiums across the street. So all that stormwater need is, restricting us as well. So what are we proposing? We're proposing a variance of 18 feet. That 33.2 feet setback that we have, plus the 18-foot variance would be that 51.2 feet required setback. What we're doing with that, what we're doing on the neighboring site that the owner of this proposed site also owns the adjacent site, is proposing to dedicate an 18-foot wide no-build easement so that Whole Foods ever redevelops, which, we don't think it will, they wouldn't be able to build within 18 feet of that property line. So with that, the setback from building to building would be your 51.2 feet. In addition to that, there's a water main there, and there's a 40-foot water main easement. So really, the building wouldn't be able to be in that water main easement. So in reality, the building-to-building setback would be over 73 feet, which is, greater than that 51 feet. The Whole Foods building that's on there is more than 100 feet from not more than, but approximately 100 feet from the property line. We talked about rezoning. We are in the rezoning process, but if we weren't rezoning and this was developed as an office like it is now, there would be zero setback required. If we, rezoned this to a mixed use and took advantage of that, there would also be a zero lot line. We could be right there in the lot line. So, we're here tonight to ask you to acknowledge the excessive setback that the code is kind of dictating, and to grant a variance to this unique, triangular shaped lot. This will have minimal to no impact of the adjacent properties. And, if the variance is denied, then, we believe that the city, the goals of bringing more housing to the city, would not be achieved. Again, we're here to answer questions either before or after your public hearing or any time. Myself, and if they're out of my area, we have the local architect, Brad, and even the owner, if any questions are to that level. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Any questions? Yes, Dharma.
I just want to be sure that I'm looking at this diagram correctly, because I think I wasn't at first. So the setback that we're talking about is the setback that's between the proposed building and the back of the Whole Foods / that parking lot that's behind there? Is that the area along the right?
It's really not, denoted too well on here. We need 51.2 feet from the property line. We're giving you 33.2.
Right, but which property, I'm trying to understand
Okay.
which side and dimension.
Yeah, so the property, so the left of the purple, I guess, is the property line.
Okay.
It's also yellow, so that's the property line. So that purple, that 18 feet of purple is on the adjacent Whole Foods property. That would be a no-build easement.
That's the back of the Whole Foods.
That's what I thought. Okay.
The Whole Foods, right? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a good way to say it, yes.
It's the common property line between the homes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's technically the back, but it's the common property.
It's where all the picnic tables are and the staff takes their breaks.
Mr. Moore, do you want to identify yourself for the record?
I'll sign you in, Brad.
Yeah, my name is Brad Moore with J. Bradley Moore and Associates Architects. I'm
Hello.
a local consulting architect.
Good, thank you. Dave?
So the purple on this photo that's on the screen is, at this point, Cranbrook Village property where the Whole Foods, but really that whole thing.
Yes.
Do you have an agreement already in writing that this is a no-build easement, that 18 feet?
That will be required as part of the site plan. So before we go to the, to the planning commission August 5th, that'll need to be in place.
So you'll have a legal agreement with that adjacent property owner, and I guess there's some commonality in ownership between
Yes,
the
but we
two.
know that, the reality is owners can sell pieces of property and
I
that
understand.
that needs to be in place.
I will note back in the 1980s when I was on city council and the Cranbrook Village went in, I remember, and I was in meetings where the owners of that proposed shopping center
Mervyn's, I think, yeah.
said that they would, when it was going to be a Mervyn's that was coming in, that if needed for traffic considerations, that they would fund a traffic light at Oakbrook Drive there, Oakbrook and Ann Arbor Saline Road. And my fear is, and on the other side of Ann Arbor Saline Road, you've got the residential development Northbrook Drive. And I've actually tried to make left turns out of Oakbrook Drive onto Ann Arbor Saline certain times of the day, and it's a nightmare. And I'm just, pardon me?
It's not legal.
To make a left turn out of it?
Correct. I've done it too.
But I'm just wondering, is it time now for the ownership of that shopping center to step forward and collaborate with the city and fund, maybe as a site plan, to put a light there to facilitate? And we're adding a significant number of new residential units, which will be more traffic coming in and out of, although the access is down from that intersection. Sometimes having a light nearby will facilitate exiting from a parking lot like that in between lights.
Yep.
I'm just wondering if there's any possibility of the ownership stepping forward at this point and following through on that agreement I specifically remember them making, not in writing, I don't believe.
Yeah.
But they said if there's ever needed to be for the future residential development, a light there, they would cooperate with helping to fund that light.
Yep, I will speak to that. What's not shown on this, we do have that existing entrance that Mariana was clear in, that we're narrowing in order to provide more safety. We're carrying through the sidewalk and making that a safer drive approach for the city. But virtually all of the traffic from this will actually go out to Oakbrook. But there are also two crosswalks that we're proposing that aren't clearly shown, but one going across Oakbrook and one actually going across Ann Arbor Saline Road. But having said that, the developer, Andy, is in the room. He would be happy to talk to the city about partnering in a street light.
I
Or
mean,
not a
it
street light,
would be
traffic light.
it would be a
Traffic light.
benefit to the residents that will be your future residents there.
I'll just say that our traffic and transportation engineers have had extensive discussions and have looked at various versions of this site plan. They have their own concerns about traffic lights and what kind of studies would have to happen to make sure that that is the best solution there.
Yep.
But the developers have agreed, and there are notes in the site plan, that they're going to continue working with the transportation department to make sure that the crosswalks are in the right places and that everything is up to code and up to our standards for the safety of the pedestrians who would be moving in here.
Thank you very much. That's very reassuring.
What
Thank
she
you.
said.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
Any additional questions? Well, I have one. The rational developer, of course, wants to maximize the space. I mean, that's the rational way to proceed, and more profit and more use for the lot. If this easement were not granted, is that a project killer? Because you could obviously simply shrink the building. Instead of having 262 units, you could have 200 units, for example. Is this sort of a live or die variant? Because I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, losing 10% of the units is a make or break deal with this type of housing development.
Okay, yep, understand. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Anybody here in chambers that would like to speak for or against this? Please identify yourself, ma'am, and sign in and print your name.
Sign in.
Hello, my name is Mary Warshevsky, and my husband and I live at 564 Galen Circle, which is the Oak Brook condominiums, villas, and by Meadows Muse. So my presentation might be more appropriate for the Planning Commission. However, I will reiterate some concerns I have about this project. As the building looks really wonderful, it does not fit within the architecture of the neighborhood. So where the retention pond is.
Ooh,
on
I'm
that
sorry, let me
side-
interrupt you. You have 3 minutes, so I don't
Yes.
want, yes.
Well, I am going to give you,
I'm not counting my question in those 3 minutes.
okay, I'm going to give you a copy. I'm not sure if this is going to be appropriate for the record for you, but I'm going to submit this for the record.
Thank you.
Copy of that. So to highlight the safety concerns for pedestrian, because Oak Brook Drive, there are a lot of pedestrians already with the senior developments down Oak Brook Drive. They walk with their walkers, and there will need to be crosswalks with the flashing lights to alert drivers that there's somebody crossing the street. It is a walker's paradise. It's a very friendly atmosphere with the community and the neighborhoods. And this project is not conducive for this area. It is conducive for another part of the city for creating more housing, for the shortage of the influx of people that want to move to Ann Arbor because of the uniqueness that Ann Arbor presents. Traffic concerns, again, I feel a little better about that. I think Dharma said it is illegal to turn left. I have seen almost near misses. There have been a few deaths in the past because of this left-hand turn, and people do it all the time. They ignore that. Drainage issues, huge problem. There was Andy Jacob from Silverview Partners says the retention pond that is located at this parcel is connected to the Oak Brook condos and villas. He was going to do he was going to get his engineers to investigate this more and to see if the water has nowhere to go and or if the drain tiles are plugged. So I would like to see that happening. The noise factor with this building being so tall, and from what I've seen, I think unless it's been revised, they were proposing a rooftop area where they're going to have grills and stuff, so all that noise is going to affect Oak Brook condos and villas. Need some more study on the electric power grid, and just the fact that the city is implementing a comprehensive plan of affordability and sustainability and equitability. If this project gets built, the city would not be adhering to its own envision for this project. I think that the prudent thing to do before adding more housing units to Ann Arbor is to do an impact assessment on the already approved projects before committing to further development. If the board does, and I'm not sure this is the appropriate venue for this, but if it does see the need for this project to move forward, I propose the following conditions are imposed. The size and the height be reduced so the building would blend in with the already existing neighborhood. Setback so it does not abut too close to the sidewalks and street. Required landscaping for the buffering. Big evergreen trees along Oak Brook Drive to make sure all the infrastructure is in place, as I had mentioned before. So thank you for listening to me, and I will hand over this copy to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good. Pass this along to people on the anyone else in the room that would like to speak on this project? All right. Do we have any callers?
We don't have anyone online right now.
And there were some letters and emails. I may not have listed all of them. One from Andrew Berry, one from Margaret Goodley, and another one from Nan Lefton. I think that's all of them. Is that what
Are
you
those
have?
in favor or opposed?
In favor was Mr. Berry, and against were Ms. Goodley and Ms. Lefton. I don't have notes on the other two, but Ms. Goodley was concerned about getting rid of a green space. That seemed to be her major objection. All right, with that, then the public input part is closed, and we're in discussion among the members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Since I'm chair, I'm not going to go first. Somebody else has to say.
I'm not afraid to go.
Oh, yeah, Dave.
I think this does meet many of our criteria. There is a practical difficulty because of the shape of the lot. I think there is significant public benefit of adding this housing. I know there are going to be traffic considerations and pedestrian safety considerations, but I'm confident that further work with the city, engineering, transportation, and planning departments can address those issues. I see this where the variance that they're looking for is along the lot line where they're proposing an agreement for a no-build easement, which essentially creates the required setback, kind of, in nature. So I see that as addressing this and making it that, given that this is really the minimum necessary to allow this to happen. And I think, frankly, I think more housing down in this part of the city is appropriate. I do take to heart the comments that our speaker made here at the podium, and would just urge the city to be attendant to those concerns as the planning on this goes forward. There will be a zoning change, so we'll have to go through site plan review and planning commission. Those sorts of statements should be delivered in those arenas. And but in terms of voting on this variance, I'm going to vote in favor of it.
Any other comments?
Just to
yes,
add on
Christina.
a little bit, that the comments that we just heard from the neighbor, that there seemingly very valid concerns, that this isn't the right platform for him to have us, do anything with those concerns, right? Our job is just to really focus on the impact of of that setback, but I encourage you, yeah, for sure, to pass through those comments to all the appropriate steps along the way, because there's, I think, a lot of valid concerns there overall that you make. But in general, I'm in support of this application. And I think it makes sense for the purview that we have for this application. Thank you.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Oh, Julie.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I am on the planning commission, and I did take some notes relative to the issues you had. So again, good to mention that at the planning commission too, but I agree that there are some issues that we need to discuss.
All right. I would just say I agree with Dave DeVardy's comments. I think he said what I would have said. So I think we're ready for a motion.
Okay, I'm ready to make one.
All right.
ZBA 25-0013, 2525 Ann Arbor Saline Road. In accordance with the established standards for approval, the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby grants a variance from Table 5.17-3, multiple family residential districts, to allow for a residential building to encroach 18 feet into the side yard setback.
And support, Drew. All right. And now voting. I vote yes. Dharma.
Yes.
Julie.
Yes.
Dave.
DeVardy, yes.
Christina.
Yes.
Drew.
Yes.
All right. The Variance request is passed. Thank you. And Candace is to come back. Has Candace left the building, or?
Just keep going, Todd.
I can keep going. I need to get.
Oh, here she is.
Oh, okay. I need to be rescued, Candace. I'm not sure what happens next. Something about voting to get out of here? There you go.
There you go, Todd.
Yeah. Good, thanks.
All right. Moving on. We have no unfinished business. New business, reports from Carmel. Reports from Carmel, yeah.
Y'all.
Woo! I promise I wasn't drinking in the hallway. Reports from council. Dharma.
It's cool. Karma, Dharma, it's all the same. At this last city council meeting, we had the second reading of two ordinance changes that relate to public hearings and citizen participation. One was an update to how the city handles public notices and hearings for development projects. And the goal there was to create a clearer, more consistent process that remains transparent and ensures meaningful opportunities for public input. This changes, well, actually it standardizes how and when notices are posted, mailed, and published, removes extra public hearing requirements for certain site plans. And this was to be aligned more with state law. Secondly, a change to citizen participation. Our community participation ordinance is changing the how and when residents are informed about new development projects. It also would add digital notifications through city communication channels in addition to the required mailed notices, so there can be broader participation. Create a citywide calendar of participation meetings on the city's website, and require these meetings to happen at the same time that a site plan is submitted, so that we get feedback when it can be most useful in the review process. Right now, before, the participation meetings could happen even months and years before the project went to staff. So those are two changes.
All right, thanks, Dharma. Moving on to communications. I believe we have noted all of the communications that we received for this meeting. Public comment. If there is anyone from the public who wishes to speak to the ZBA on any matter, now's your chance. If you're here in person, you can come forward. If you are accessing the meeting remotely, please press *9 or use the raise hand button. All right. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn? Julie, support?
Support?
From Dave, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Sorry for calling out your legal behavior.